Hey, good afternoon. Meteorologist Scott Pilier here with your tropics update on this Thursday evening. Officially now tracking potential tropical cyclone number 3 in the western and southern part of the Gulf of Mexico. A lot of you that are probably just now joining in are saying, Scott, what is a potential tropical cyclone? I'll break it down for you. Basically, it's a tropical cyclone that has yet to develop, but because of its proximity to land areas, the National Hurricane Center basically says, hey, in order to alert people of the potential threat for tropical storm conditions, we go ahead and give it this label of a potential tropical cyclone in order to issue watches and warnings. And they have issued a tropical storm warning from intracoastal city, Louisiana, all the way to the Alabama and Florida border. As always, if you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel, make sure to do so, as well as comment and leave your questions. I've got the live chat open on the side of this video so I can see when people comment. And we've got Bana Moore, Bath and Body, hey to you. Yes, please leave your comments. Let me know if the sound and everything is working well on your end as well. I am going to post this video as soon as it is up as well so that we can get more people the latest information. So here's what we've got going on. Geraldine says, is Youngsville okay? Geraldine, looks like the worst of the weather will stay towards your east. Still could have some breezier conditions and some scattered rain Friday and into Saturday. And Celeste Jeremy says, thanks for keeping us updated. Scott, you're so welcome. Savannah is here. Great. Colleen says the sound is great. And Go-Go Doll says the sound is great as well. Or Goo Goo. Perfect. Awesome. Okay, so let's go ahead and show you what we've got going on. This is the latest animation from our GeoColor visible satellite animation. And there's some things to depict about this afternoon. First things first, this is still a disorganized tropical system. It's not even a depression yet. But what you can see, and I want to make this the takeaway point, you see all of these big kind of towering thunderstorms, especially in these kind of feeder bands east of the center. These are what we're going to be watching for, these tropical feeder bands that are going to be rotating their way towards the northern Gulf Coast as we go towards tomorrow and into Saturday. So all of this rain is heading north, and even though our system is still very, very disorganized, the low is actually way over here. You see this little spiral down here? This is kind of the area that the hurricane hunters went and investigated earlier, and they did find a weak area of low pressure trying to develop. Now, here's the key with this, and I think this is going to be what is kind of the thing to keep in mind overnight tonight, and it's what I'm going to be watching overnight tonight. All of this thunderstorm action over here, right? That creates a lowering of the pressure. And as that happens, we start to see kind of new areas of low pressure that try to develop closer to the area of shower and thunderstorms. And this area right here, towards the north of the Yucatan, you can see the Yucatan Peninsula down towards the south. This area north of the Yucatan, the pressures have been lowering right in this region throughout the day today. So earlier, you see this little spin down here? I think that low is starting to decay as it kind of rotates around. I think that's starting to fizzle, and we're getting a new area of low pressure that is starting to develop a little bit further north and east. This is what some of our model guidance was showing, and if that is indeed the case, then I could see this track shifting a tad towards the east. Speaking of the track, let's go ahead and show you the latest track from the National Hurricane Center. But again, bottom line being, this is going to be a heavy rainfall threat primarily. There could be some wind with it on the order of about 35 to 50 mile per hour winds as this moves its way onshore, mainly in gusts. So a weak to moderate tropical storm is possible with this as it moves towards the northern Gulf Coast. But the primary threat is going to be all of this moisture that is kind of enveloped with this system as it moves towards the Gulf Coast. All right, let's talk about the latest track, and then I'm going to show you some of the greatest kind of impact zones that I expect within this in terms of rainfall. All right, let's show you the latest track. Here it is from the National Hurricane Center, and again, you can see that they expect this to become a depression overnight tonight with winds of up to 30 miles per hour. We see more than 30 mile per hour winds with a typical cold front in Louisiana. Wind is not a big deal with this system. As it moves north, it is expected to gradually organize. And notice as we go through time, I'll go and zoom out a little bit so you can see this. They are expecting this to reach a tropical storm status with winds of 45 miles per hour as it nears landfall south of Vermilion Bay. 45 mile per hour winds sustained with gusts up to 60. And let me make sure that my camera lens is a little bit smaller so you can see less of me and more of the map. So again, tropical storm warning in effect all the way from intracoastal City, Louisiana, outline that in blue, intracoastal City, Louisiana, all the way through the mouth of the Mississippi River and towards the Florida and Alabama border. That does include the New Orleans metro with the potential for tropical storm force winds, mainly in gusts and some sporadic power outages possible. But I really want to emphasize this for those that are just now joining in, is that even though the track is pinpointed over here, the greatest impacts could be far away from where the center is located. So for my folks in Lafayette, New Iberia, sure, the center may actually get kind of close to you as it moves towards Morgan City, Houma, etc. But the worst of the weather is expected to be well east of where that center of circulation moves onshore. So keep that in mind. I always say impacts extend far outside of where the cone is located, right? So don't look at that center line, look at the area east of where the center is located, because this is still battling, and I'll draw this on here for you. This system, this is our wind shear analysis map, and you can see this is located right about here. Wind shear is still on the order of 25 to even 20 to 30 knots over this area highlighted in pink. Notice, wind shear even stronger north of the system. So as this pulls to the north, wind shear is still going to be part of its lifetime. It will slowly likely organize into a tropical storm. But again, as it moves northward, the environment doesn't get all that much more favorable. So only gradual organization appears likely. Don't expect this to rapidly strengthen in any quick fashion. Awesome. I'm looking at a couple of your comments. Hey, Karen. Sissy says, hey, Scott, we miss you down here on the bayous. Likewise, Sissy. So glad to see you in the live chat right now. All right, let's see. Very Strong Girl is also here. Great to see you. And I have a flight 5:30 Saturday morning. How will that be from Frank Pelican? So it looks like if you're flying out of MSY, Frank, then on Saturday morning you could have to contend with some rough weather. Let's go through this forecast model. And this is the latest GFS forecast model. This just came out a few minutes ago. And I do want to make sure I share this video onto my Facebook page as well to get a couple more people joining in. And if y'all could share this as well, I would love to get a couple more people joining in before we end this live video. So let me go share this really quickly onto my Facebook page, and we'll get a couple more people watching, and y'all can leave a couple of comments here before I go through the latest GFS forecast model. Talking details on potential tropical cyclone number 3. And we'll put join in. And thanks all of you. If you haven't subscribed to my page already, make sure to do so. I've been posting videos pretty regularly this week, and I'm going to continue to do so throughout this upcoming Atlantic hurricane season. Hard to believe that we're already on the third potential named storm of the season. All right, let's go talk about this, and I'm going to pull this back up and look at a couple of your comments as they're rolling on in. AJ says, I love your TikTok you just posted. Thank you. And Vanessa says, hello. Vanessa, good to see you. All right, let me show you this latest kind of forecast model from the GFS, the American-based forecast model. Again, this showcases the system through the next 8 to 12 hours, still poorly organized. Notice we start to see, remember I said that circulation north of the Yucatan? We'll be watching for that to organize a little bit more overnight tonight as it begins to lift towards the north. As I advance through this, I'll kind of outline the time frames here for you. This is tomorrow morning at 6 a.m. So 6 to 7 a.m. on Friday morning. Friday morning. Likely going to see this become a depression or weak tropical storm as we go towards early on Friday morning. Notice the heavy rain just offshore with the area of low pressure still kind of elongated, kind of elliptical in this area. We may see it officially classified as a depression or weak tropical storm as we go towards the morning hours tomorrow. Then as we go towards kind of the 10 to 11 a.m. time frame, this is right at about 11 a.m. on Friday. That is when some of the worst weather, maybe a little bit later than this model says right about midday, we start to see this band of rain move into South Mississippi and Southeast Louisiana. This would be the first initial rain to kind of pay attention for in terms of a heavy rainfall potential because the low kind of elongated. You see this closed isobar down here. The low is still down south, but we kind of have this smaller scale area of vorticity rotating around the main circulation that I think for this area, somewhere within Southeast Louisiana, South Mississippi, along the Gulf Coast, this will be the area to watch for a very heavy rain threat with that initial band midday to late day tomorrow. As we go into Friday afternoon, notice we get somewhat of a landfall late Friday into Friday night, close towards Vermilion Bay. Again, look at the western side. Do you see what I see? Not much, right? On the western side, we're still going to have some relatively stout, dry air on this side of the system. So for my folks that may be watching from Lake Charles over towards Lafayette, as that dry air kind of gets wrapped into the circulation west of it, there's not a whole lot. You can basically slice a line through this system and you get the idea. There's a whole lot of rough weather on the eastern semicircle of the system, and on the western side, there just isn't much over here, right? There just isn't a whole lot because of that dry air that is being wrapped into the circulation from the southwest. As we go into Saturday morning, it looks as if on the GFS forecast model, the worst of the weather begins to pivot towards the east and towards parts of the Florida Panhandle over towards South Mississippi, some of those trailing feeder bands as the low begins to lift towards the north. Now our rainy pattern as a front gets close next week looks to continue, so we may even see more additional rainfall into next week. But that's a look at the GFS. GFS on the rainfall forecast totals, it shows, and I'll pull this back up for you. Can y'all see that okay? Leave me a comment. Hey, Julie from Macomb, Mississippi. We've got Betty Brannon joining from Berwick. And hey from Bay St. Louis, Southern Lady. Good to see you. So here's the latest forecast rain totals from the GFS, and it shows a bullseye of about 8 inches near Bay St. Louis and Waveland, and another hot spot over parts of the South Shore of 3 to 5, localized 6 to 8 inches of rain. But do you see the sharp cutoff? It's pretty remarkable. Notice west of this line from Lafayette to Acadiana, generally less than 2 inches of rain. You can handle that. Less 1 to 2 inches of rain, not much west of where the center comes on shore. So if the track is indeed like this, most of the rain is going to fall east of the center. In fact, if this was to come a little bit further east, closer to New Orleans, Louisiana may miss out on all of the heavy rain. The heaviest of the rain could end up being from the Florida Panhandle to South Alabama. So I don't want to throw that kind of out. Yes, AJ says, can you zoom in a little? I can. Let's go zoom in on this just a tad. And I wonder why it's not zooming in. I'm not sure why it's not zooming in, AJ. Let's see. Let me exit this. And we'll go back to normal viewing mode. And I'll see if we can get this to zoom in. Let's see. I'm not sure why that part of this frame is not zooming in. It doesn't want to for whatever reason. So I apologize. On this particular map, it's not zooming in. All my other maps have zoomed in pretty nicely. But for this one random graphic. I'm not positive why it's not zooming in. So again, let's go look at this outlook from the Weather Prediction Center. Again, what's interesting about this, again, is that west of the center, really not much expected in terms of rainfall. If that center line comes like this, notice the area in red, that's the moderate outlook from the Weather Prediction Center, showcasing the heaviest rain within that zone, basically from the New Orleans metro to South Mississippi. But easily, if we end up seeing that track anywhere further east, let's say it comes closer to New Orleans, I could see this red zone pivoting more so like this, further east. And New Orleans could miss out on the heaviest of the rain. So it all depends. Slight deviations in this track as to where exactly the heaviest rain sets up. But I want everyone basically from Terrebonne Parish over towards the Florida Panhandle just to pay attention. Winds in this area could gust between 30 to 50 miles per hour. Maybe even some localized higher gusts on our oil platforms off the coastline as this moves on shore. And near our coastal parishes, there could be anywhere from 1 to 3 feet, 1 to 3 feet of coastal flooding along our shorelines. And you can see that illustrated here. They did put out their peak surge map, 2 to 3 feet of storm surge expected throughout our coastal areas from basically Grand Isle down through Terrebonne and Timbalier Bay over towards Lake Bourne. 2 to 3 feet of storm surge is expected there. Let's see. You're so welcome. Darla says from Pascagoula, thank you for caring about others. Scott, hugs. You're so welcome. AJ says, what about Ascension Parish? So in Ascension Parish, you're kind of right in that cutoff zone, AJ. It looks like the heaviest of the rain is going to be towards the east of Ascension Parish. If that track budged a little bit further west, you could see those numbers go up. Generally, I would say between 1/2 inch and 2.5 inches of rain expected for you. Mr. Broussard says, hey Scott, my family and I are leaving for vacation Saturday morning. We're traveling from New Iberia to Destin. Where will the worst of the weather be Saturday morning? So on Saturday morning, it appears that the worst of the rain is going to start to lift north. Now, let me switch graphics really quickly, and I'll go to the European just to give you some context. Latest European forecast model is a little bit further east with the track. Notice, remember with the GFS, the latest GFS is kind of like this. The latest European model is somewhat like this. So we have a toss-up, right? GFS is further west. That brings the rain into southeast Louisiana and south Mississippi. The European forecast model is a little bit further towards the east, like so. And that brings the worst of the weather further east from south Mississippi over into the Florida Panhandle. So those deviations between GFS and European will make a difference for what southeast Louisiana sees in terms of rain. Make sure you'll give me a like or a comment if the video and everything is making sense. I love your feedback. Let's see. Hey, watching from work in Hammond. Hey to you, Jasmine. All right. And okay, so Mr. Broussard, let me answer that question. So this is Saturday morning at 6 a.m. Low is right over parts of southeast Louisiana. Destin over towards Gulf Shores underneath that feeder band that would bring some pretty rough weather. By Saturday midday, low begins to move north and east, and look, by Saturday night, it's out of here. And you would still see some scattered rain, it appears, into Sunday, kind of some scattered leftover showers and some scattered storms on Sunday. But it looks as if the worst of the rain by late Saturday, this is midday Saturday, still looks pretty sloppy for parts of the Mississippi, Alabama, and Florida coast. This is at 11 a.m. Saturday. But by late Saturday evening, 6 to 10 p.m., worst of the weather, although still some scattered rain over Destin. The center of the system is now near Montgomery and going towards basically the Atlanta metro. So hopefully that gave you some context. Hopefully that gave you some context for what to expect. You're so welcome. You're so welcome. Awesome. Glad you were still here. All right, y'all, I hope that all of this made sense with regards to the forecast. One more time, main threat with this is going to be heavy rainfall. Last takeaway points before I let you guys go. Latest track brings this up to a weak tropical storm of 45 miles per hour with a landfall close towards St. Mary and Terrebonne Parish. But remember, don't focus in on the center line with this system. The greatest threats are going to be along the path and way east, and predominantly way east. This area that I'm highlighting in green, basically south of Hattiesburg towards the New Orleans metro and into parts of the Florida Panhandle, that's where we've got the heaviest rainfall threat that's likely going to set up with this system. And if it does end up taking a more easterly track, which is possible, definitely possible that we see this take a slightly more easterly track, then that would take the greatest heavy rainfall threat further towards the east. So still some depictions that we're going to continue to iron out. I'll have another update for you coming up tomorrow morning. Until then, have a great rest of your Thursday. We're almost to the weekend. I'll see you guys back tomorrow morning with another update. Until then, have a great rest of your Thursday. Clear out those storm drains, and I will see you all back with another YouTube Live and YouTube posting tomorrow. Bye, guys.